So, welcome everyone. For those of you who are new, my name is Chloe Ballatori. I'm a relationship and communication expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's One Institute. She mentored me. If you guys know of Pat Allen, she's a little bit famous. She's a relationship expert working out of the LA County and Orange County areas. And she mentored me. She mentored Patty Stanger. So she's been on Millionaire Matchmaker. She's been on Shaws of Sunset. She's almost 90 now. So she's basically in retirement. Um, but she mentored me and I worked with her at the One Institute. I have been doing this work for 12 years now. Um, Amazingly, and time flies. And I've also written 4 books on this work. If you wanna check those out, they're all available at Amazon, and I put that in the chat, my links, so that you guys have resources if you wanna learn more about this work. Because tonight we're just gonna touch on the basics, and then mostly I'm going to answer your questions so we can start to see how some of these theories apply to your life and can help you change your life. This work, the goal of this work is to change your life for the better. So if you are stuck in a bad pattern or you have things in your life that you don't have that you want, or things that you have that you don't want, this is a good spot for you to be in. um I myself am also over 20 years married. So, everything that I'm going to be teaching you guys tonight, in addition to being backed by scientific and psychological principles that are very well established, I have also done myself, and I have worked with thousands of people and helped them get the love they want in their lives. Um, this work gets results often where people have failed to see results prior. So, if you've tried a number of things and it's not working, a lot of people go to therapy, and emotive therapy is wonderful. You get to vent, and somebody hears you and reflects back to you. But a lot of times it doesn't really affect change in your life. And so, in that sense, it can become frustrating after a while. This work isn't like that. We will talk about things, you will get homework, and then the idea is to come back and let us know how it went. And so we can tweak it so that you can really, again, get what you want out of your life. Everything that we're going to talk about, all this work is ultimately motivated by the things that you want or don't want in your life. My specialty is love and relationships, but I also help people with familial problems, with work situations, with communication issues, because these principles radiate throughout all of life. Um, and they're kind of the secret sauce. When you start to understand the principles of yin and yang, of masculine and feminine, you really will be amazed at how effective harnessing those dynamics can be. And I love to tell the story of my client who once asked me if I was a witch, and I'm not a witch, but he thought that because a lot of the things I was saying were turning out to be true. So it was appearing as if I was predicting the future. The truth of it is that, yes, when you understand these dynamics, you can mitigate your vulnerability. It does give you an edge. You can see how things will play out, often where other people cannot see that. Um, and that's why I always say if I find out people are using this work for ill, I won't teach it to them anymore because it does give you an advantage. But I believe in this work and I believe in teaching it for love. And so that's why we're here tonight. Okay, what am I talking about? I'm going to give a brief illustration of the principles behind this work. Again, what's unique about this work is not the principles, but the tools to execute on those principles. So then we'll be exploring those tools basically through your questions. So while I'm talking for the next 10 minutes or so, think of questions that you might have. Um, you can, when the time comes, you can raise your hand, you can put your questions in the chat. Um, either way, and then we will get to you. Okay. So, relationships. When we talk about relationships and we talk about successful relationships, what we're really talking about is the balance of yin and yang energy. And these are the most successful relationships, relationships that are balanced between complementary energies, between masculine and feminine. And that goes whether you're in a straight relationship or a gay relationship, because there's still a top and a bottom, right? There's still a butch and a femme. These relationships are more successful because they're not competitive in nature. We don't go for strict equality in our romantic relationships. What we want is equity, which acknowledges the differences in each other. Okay. So it's not strictly equal, but it's more like equity. And the example that I like to use is one from history. And that's the Society of the Native Americans. Now, the Native American chiefs, you may know, were always men. And so that gives the appearance of patriarchy. But the chiefs themselves were picked by the elder women in the tribe because the women were the ones who took care of the children. So they knew all the kids and they knew which ones would be good leaders. So in this scenario, you can clearly see it's not that men are better than women or women are better than men, but when we work together, we can create something beautiful, right? And that's love. Um, Now, there's a lot of confusion about what feminine and masculine or yin and yang energy is. So I'm going to give a brief definition of that. There's a great book about that called The Yin Yang of Life by Dr. Kim and Dr. Lee. And if you're interested in that, you can look for it on Amazon or you can message me afterwards and I'll send you the title. And it basically breaks down everything in the world between yin and yang, masculine and feminine, food, colors, times of the day, like things that you would never really even think of. But I'm going to keep it brief for now. So, all of us are feminine and masculine. All of us have these two energies within us. And the balance that we have between these energies is unique to us. And the balance that we have in our relationships is usually unique to that relationship. Um, there's the feminine or right hemisphere of the brain, which is the center of creativity. This is the yin energy. This is feelings, nonlinear thinking, sensuality, sexuality, receiving, passive, patient, vulnerable, spiritual. Um, this energy is in the world to make it fun, but it's not of the world. And then all of us have that left brain, that more logical thinking mind, linear thought, single mindedness, competing, conquering, controlling. This is the masculine energy. This is the yang energy. It is giving, taking care of. Masculine energy is what we're in most of the time when we're at work, right? Because we're competing, we're achieving, we're doing. Masculine energy is very much of the world, okay? Now, in our intimate relationships, it's important to know which is more important to us to lead with. We don't have to do that all the time, but certainly in awkward situations like first dates and also in conflicts, it helps to know which you want more. Everybody wants both, but in your romantic relationships, do you want to get your feelings cherished or your thoughts respected? This is a crucial question to understand what your basic orientation is. And it's fine if you're a woman who wants her thoughts respected, even though that's technically called yang and that's the masculine. I have tons of clients, masculine women, feminine men, and they're very successful because, again, it's about the balance in the relationship. When we have this balance, we avoid power struggles. We can have a power struggle for the masculine energy, which is the control and the power of the relationship. We can have a struggle for the feminine energy, which is for feelings, for sympathy. Um, or we can negotiate with love. And that's the kind of communication that I teach. The reason we can't come at somebody, especially in a conflict with both our masculine and feminine energies, is because then they have nowhere to go. Then we're taking up all the air in the room. We're a 10, they're a 0. That can often flip. But by definition, that's a codependent relationship. That's not a relationship that I teach. But people have those relationships. A good example is the movie Secretary. Uh, And, they appear contented with that. Okay. Excuse me. Now, oftentimes we get confused about our masculinity, our femininity, the balance between these energies when we have childhood trauma. And most of us do have some kind of childhood trauma, especially if you're in this room, because it's the childhood trauma and the issues and the triggers that show up primarily and initially in our intimate relationships. So anything that happens between the ages of 0 to 12 that causes us to sacrifice our authenticity in order to attach to the people who own the refrigerator can be characterized as traumatic. Now, we have to do this as young children and infants because we're dependent on the people who own the refrigerator in order to survive. But the problem occurs when we take the strategies that we learn as children and try to bring them into our adult life. And we often think that these are existential truths, but they were really just coping mechanisms of the moment. And that's when we start to see patterns of sabotage in terms of getting what we want, specifically in relationships, but this can be in any part of life. Because we're repeating the patterns of our childhood, we're recreating them. And the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind will do it in a way that the conscious mind can never figure out. You'll think that you're not going to date your dad. You'll pick someone that you think is exactly the opposite. But if you have unhealed trauma, if you have unconscious patterns that you're not fully aware of, they will keep coming up and repeating because this is something that occurs in our psychology. It's called the repetition compulsion. And it basically states, this is the work of Freud and Alice Miller. It basically states that we're doomed to repeat that which we don't understand. And so the first part is bringing a lot of awareness to these patterns. And then once we bring awareness to these patterns, we can begin to make that change from attachment into authenticity, meaning that when we're grown-ups, we don't have to sacrifice our authenticity in order to attach to another grown-up. If it doesn't work out, we can survive on our own. And so this takes, for many of us, a conscious shift in committing to our authenticity, often at the risk of attachment, right? So it's a flip from what we had to do as kids. Okay, I've talked a lot about theories. If you don't understand everything, please don't panic. When I learned this work, I really didn't understand it. Something in it resonated to me, but I really mentally argued with a lot of it. What convinced me was I saw a tremendous transformation in a friend who had literally gone from being like a very young, very broke single mom to becoming a very successful businesswoman. She got married to the love of her life. I mean, really transformed things in a period of about 3 years by using this work. And when I saw that, I wanted to check it out. And so I hung in there. It takes repetition, hearing it over and over. And then again, what we're going to do next, which is asking your questions and applying these theories and in translating that into actions you can take to actually change your life, build your confidence, fall in love, whatever it is that you want to have happen. Okay, so now I'm going to open up for questions. I also love to hear your updates because we learned so much from those as well. You can put your question in the chat. You can raise your hand. Again, it can be about dating, relationships. Those are my specialties, but I also help with communication, uh, family matters, And you can even ask a general question about anything I've said, if anything's been unclear up to this point. I know sometimes it can be hard to share in a group, but it can also be kind of freeing to be in this environment. So, Wendy. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
How's it going?
Okay. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How can I help you?
Good. Um, yeah, I wanted to ask about a gal friend relationship actually,
Okay.
and maybe a quick update on the guy. So yeah, this friend, she's a good friend, and we connect pretty deeply. Um, but she got custody of her child back after very difficult situation with the father, over a long period of time. And this happened, I think, a couple of years ago, and it really changed her availability. And I worked through that, and I understood, what was going on. But it's a really good relationship. But there is an aspect that's kind of difficult. Is she always wants me to reach out.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she said, I don't remember what this was like 6 months ago or something. Something like, at the end of our get together, it was like, uh, you know, now reach out to me or something.
Mm-hmm. How old is her child?
Uh, 13 now, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. So not
Yeah.
an infant or anything. Okay.
14 maybe, I forget.
Okay. So
Yeah.
she wants you to be the one to reach out. When you reach out, does she always say yes?
I mean, in general, but I mean, we might have to wait till she's really busy, way busier than I am. So I might have to wait till she's available. And I only see her now, for like maybe an hour and a half. Whereas, but in the beginning we were getting together all the time, and but I mean, I came to understand it, and I was fine with it. But I'm just kind of going through a thing again of just feeling like, I never said to her, "Hey, why don't you reach out to me?"
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to, but I
So
guess
you're
maybe I'm
bringing,
afraid she
sorry, go
won't.
ahead.
I guess maybe I'm afraid, like I'm not that important to her.
Oh, that she
And
won't.
she cares about me very much. I can tell that I mean a lot to her. But I'm kind of not liking the dynamic that basically I have to reach out to make it happen.
Right. Well, there's a couple things you can do. With friendships, it's not that yin yang thing all the time,
Yeah.
although you can all use those tools and alternate, and that does work well. And like you're saying, it sounds like you're mostly in the more masculine because you're the one reaching out, and she's the more feminine because she's receiving the reach out. Um, and you're having to do something, and it's not necessarily making you feel good. With our friends, like I said, it's a little bit more flexible. So, I have another client. It's funny. I talked to another client this week, and she said something similar that she has a friend. She always has to reach out, but since that we discussed it, and since that friend always says yes, we decided it was okay, because that's just the way it was, and she was willing to take that because the other woman always says yes. Now, in your case, you might not be willing to only be the one to reach out. And so you can do, if you're not willing and you're not comfortable with it, you can sit back, of course, and see if she reaches out, you know, and you can do the whole thing. You can wait 8 weeks and see if she reaches out. And then after that time, if she doesn't reach out, we can do the hi bye letter. I mean, for some people, that's a deal breaker in the relationship, you know? I know for me, I don't like to chase. I don't like to be the only one chasing. It doesn't make me feel good. And the relationships, I'm a woman. I want to feel good. So I want my feelings shared. So it doesn't make me feel good to always be the one chasing.
Well, what
Um,
brought it up to, I have never brought it up to her. What if I brought it up and just told her how I feel? She, I've never said.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that at your next time. You could
Any
bring it up first, or you could wait first. And I think it might be a little more powerful to wait and see if she does it, if you don't reach out, or have you already done that?
Um, I did that like 2 years ago when she was super busy. I just quit reaching out and
I mean, that's kind of the lowest impact thing you could do. My advice is to first lean back for a month or two and see if she does reach out. And if she doesn't, then reach out, hopefully set up a time, and then you can bring it up then. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I don't think it's a thing where she doesn't care enough, she doesn't like me enough. I think it's just that she's super involved with her child, and that would be enough for her in her life. She really likes me, but
But that kid in 4 years is going to be 18, so she's going to have space again for a friend.
yeah, but yeah,
It's not
okay.
always going to be this intense. Even as the kid gets older, it's not going to be this intense. You know what I'm saying?
Well, she was without her child for years.
Right, I understand. So she's probably making up for lost time.
Yeah,
Well, then maybe you're willing to give her that for now while her kid is still relatively young and just be the person to reach out.
yeah.
You got to see what you want and how you
Okay,
feel about it. So yeah, give it some thought and then let me know what you decide and how it goes.
okay. Can I quick update on the guy?
Yeah, let me know what's happening.
So this is the one I didn't hear for 10 weeks, and he reached out, and we were had the. He said, "Let's meet Sunday." And by the way, the way he reintroduced, connecting with me, his first text was "Sup," right? And so we joked around a few lines, and he, he, I said, well, it was kind of, there's a lot of joking going on. That's the connection that I had with him. And I said something like, are you dating this certain kind of chick? Because he knew what it meant. It was a joke. He laughed. And he said, no, actually, I'm not dating anyone right now, which is why we should start hanging out immediately. Are you down?
Oh my God, that's so cute.
It, but maybe he just meant friends because, right, because he said, let's get together Sunday, but then he never made a time. And so we never met. This
Oh,
was
so it
this.
didn't happen. Okay.
So I'm thinking, I mean, I don't know, maybe he's in the hospital, or maybe he's blowing me off, or maybe maybe it's not that important to him. Like he just met as friends, who knows?
Well,
So it
it's a
might,
positive statement either way. So just wait. He's got 8 weeks.
no, he already had it. He took 10,
Oh, right. And then he reached out again and said, let's hang out Sunday.
and then
And
we
then
didn't.
that never happened. So now the
Yeah,
8 weeks start over again.
it starts over.
Yeah. But
Oh,
you're not waiting for him. You're going to be doing other things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I figured I won't do anything. I just couldn't remember
Yeah.
what the protocol was now.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So the reason that for you guys who don't know about the 8 weeks, that's the average amount of time it takes the heart and the head to argue between itself. So a lot of times when you're waiting for a man to reach out and he doesn't reach out right away, it may take up to 8 weeks. And if he's interested, he will usually reach out within that time period. Um, Wendy was just saying she got to reach out at 10 weeks, which, of course it can go longer, but just the average is 8 weeks. Okay. So we'll look forward to another update on
Okay.
that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Wendy, for sharing. Okay, we got some things in the chat here. Rebecca. Hi, I'm married and want to be more feminine, but it's difficult for me because my trauma seeing my mom always in masculine. How do I change? Okay. So, hi, Rebecca.
Hi, for having
Welcome.
me.
Okay, so you're wanting to boost up your feminine energy.
Yeah.
Um, the main thing about boosting your feminine energy is leading with your feelings. So that means becoming aware of your feelings and then taking actions or inactions in order to cherish your own feelings or get them cherished, by a man or by a masculine energy person or a person willing to be in masculine energy for that moment. Um, but first we have to become aware of feelings, and feelings are usually one word. So it's not like I feel like you're a jerk. That's not a feeling. A lot of people are conflating thoughts and feelings, and it does lead to problems in communication. So feelings are I feel sad, I feel happy, I feel confused, I feel misunderstood, I feel insecure, I feel confident, I feel
Mhm.
angry. So it's usually one word. And then we want to either take an action or an inaction on a feeling. A feeling exists and it's non-negotiable in its existence, right? It's you either have a feeling or you don't have a feeling. There's no real arguing with a feeling. But whether or not you act on a feeling, that's when your masculine comes in. That's when your brain comes in. Well, is this something I want to act on? Does it make sense for me to act on it? Will it help me achieve what I want? Okay. So the first thing is becoming aware of the feeling and then taking action or inaction, deciding that. Um, and using that as a basis for your decision making. Now, one of the things that especially really high achieving women have difficulty with is moving in, especially at the end of the workday, is moving into that feminine space and
Mhm.
switching from putting your thoughts first to putting your feelings first. So there's a few things that you can do, and I want your homework is going to be to practice this every day. I want you to do at least an hour of yin activity, of feminine activity. And that means something that you're doing that is just for the sake of it feeling good to you. It's just for pure pleasure. It's an end in itself. It's not to reach a goal. Okay.
Okay.
So it could be taking a nap. It could be going into nature. It could be masturbating. It could be getting a massage. It could be taking a bath. Um, my mentor, Pat Allen, she used to like to strip wood. That would just really relax her. It wasn't like that was her job and she had to get this wood stripped. She just liked doing it. Gardening, you know. So think of some things and you can obviously mix it up, but yoga, meditation, think of things that you can do daily that will
Okay.
be just for your feelings, that will just boost that up. And, maybe if you're working during the week, you can only do an hour, but maybe on the weekend you could do more than an hour, right?
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
more that you can do that, the better. That will boost your feminine energy. Now, in terms of dating and being with men, if you want to be in the feminine energy, you're not going to be initiating, but you're going to let men know you're available to their leadership. So
Mm.
you would be making eye contact and smiling, but you wouldn't be talking first.
Okay.
Um, so, you know, and then that gives when you do like 5 seconds of eye contact with a smile, that gives a man permission to approach. Now, when you're actually on a date with a man, you're going to be in the more passive role. Okay. It's okay for a man to control the date as long as he's cherishing your feelings. If he's not cherishing your feelings, that's when we as women have to step in and cherish our feelings ourselves. Right. But first, it's nice to give the man an opportunity to do that. So you let him pick the place, you let him open the door for you let him pull out the chair for you, He asks you questions, you respond. You don't interrogate him. He
Mm,
asks about you, you don't lead with your achievements like it's a job interview. I'm a surgeon, I graduated Harvard, I'm first in my class. You're not going to go, not that you need to hide those things, but you're not going to lead with those things. Because when you lead with those things, a masculine man feels competition and he
mm.
doesn't want to compete with his partner. Okay. Because as we discussed earlier, that competition leads to a power struggle. Men need to be
Yeah.
needed. So again, when I mentioned the yin values, passive, patient, vulnerable, okay? You don't have to make conversation. You don't have to struggle to come up with ideas. You let him lead. You listen, right? You answer his questions. You're vulnerable. You're available to his leadership. You show him respect. You respect his thoughts. We had I teach this work in small groups a few times a year, and I teach the books that I wrote. Um, and we had the last one we did, we had a woman who was like, I kept telling her, you need to ask the man what he thinks. Ask him what he thinks. She's like, I'm not, I asked him kind of something similar. I'm like, no, you need to ask what he thinks. That's the sign of respect.
Mm,
So that's a very powerful tool to ask a man what he thinks. Okay. So you're going to
okay.
show him respect. You're going to, if you can, echo his ideas or praise his ideas or his
Okay.
needs that he's telling you. You know, a masculine man will want to, let you know how successful he is and, that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
so, so those are some places to start.
Yeah. Great. I mean, I'm married, and
Oh,
so
okay.
but we're newlyweds. And in the beginning, I was a lot of these things. I have to admit that I think since we've been married, I feel more masculine, and I you know, and I
You're
feel
slipping
like,
into that.
yeah, I feel like he sees that too. And he's very masculine. He's a manly kind of a guy, and I think that it turns him off.
Yeah, it ends up
Uh,
killing the chemistry.
yeah, I do see that, and I really want to change. And um, it's hard for me because I did see my mom. She's a single mom. My dad passed away when I was very young, and so ever since I can remember, the men that my mom dated, she was always the masculine in the relationship. And
Right.
so I don't want, I don't want to follow into that footsteps of my mom. And my sister's the same way. So I'm like,
Right.
oh, like I really want to put an end to it. And I'm very aware of it. I am. I'm
That's
aware
good.
that,
That's the first step.
yeah, I'm aware of it, but after the fact, like
Oh,
I'll
okay.
do something. And then after the fact, I will feel very guilty and I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that or I shouldn't have done that. And but I'm not present in the moment when I'm doing it. And that's something that I need to work on, and I want to train myself to be that, because I used to be like that when we first started dating.
Right.
And I don't understand why I'm
You're slipping into that control mode.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost like a comfort for me. It's like I
Yes.
don't,
That's
yeah, it's
so
like,
well articulated. Yes. And that's the thing about the repetition compulsion.
mm,
When we do it, it's comforting and that brings a certain
yeah,
amount of
mm,
pleasure, but
yeah,
it doesn't really bring us joy, right? It's
yes,
the
yeah,
comfort of the familiar, but it's not really happiness.
yes, yeah,
And it's like women are really capable and they can do and achieve a lot of things. We know this. Women are very smart. But you're going to burn out yourself if you take on that control.
wow,
You're
yeah,
going to get sick of it. And so a lot of times I have to tell women, even if you smarter and you know you can do it better, keep your mouth shut. Lean back. Let him do it for you. Because men need to do
Ugh.
good to feel good, and women need to feel good to do good. And if you're always doing, you're
Mm,
literally not giving him a chance to be a man and
uh,
to give to you. You
yeah,
need to, in those moments that with practice, you'll become more aware. I mean, it is a matter of practice. So
yeah,
in those moments that you see yourself, and they're probably in vulnerable moments, right? Maybe moments where you feel triggered, that you slip
yeah,
to that control mode. So you're
mm,
just gonna have to bring really a shit ton of awareness to those moments
yeah.
and the feelings in your body, because even before you start talking, you'll start to feel that trigger. You'll start to
Ugh.
feel yourself slipping, right,
Mm.
into that panicked control mode. Um, and
Wow,
so
so
just
good.
slowing it down and paying attention to that is really gonna help you. And maybe
Yeah,
that's all you do is just do that and for the first few times. And then once you cultivate that awareness, you can start changing.
yeah. It's like, so basically being very present, yeah, like being
Yes.
very present because
Yes, and
I
not
do.
rushing.
Mm, yeah, I do notice that when I'm present and I'm really aware, I can catch myself and be like, okay, is this helpful to our relationship, or am I being
Right.
respectful, or do you think, like, is this fair? Or I'll start having a conversation with myself if I'm present, but I find myself most of the time i'm I'm having, like, I'm aware after the fact that I already said it, I already did it, you
Right.
know.
You're doing an unconscious reaction instead of a
Yeah,
conscious
a
response.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like my husband, he is very manly. Um, but I think that because he's also very easygoing, you know, he's a very easygoing guy. He usually lets me have my way for the most part. He just does because he's, you know, he's I don't
He wants you to
know.
be happy.
Yeah, he does. I don't see that he's like passive, because he's not like a wimpy guy. He's, you know, he's very manly.
Right.
He wants to, you know, provide, and he, you know, he wants to like do those things for me. Um, and so, and a lot of times when I do something to him, he doesn't say it, but I've been noticing more and more. He's starting to say it more and more. Like the other day, he said, "Can I be the man?" And I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "Oh no." You
Yeah.
know, I was like,
So
"Oh, I felt really
he's
bad."
sharp. He sounds sharp.
Yeah, he is. And I know he's a good guy.
Yeah, he
Um,
sounds like it. And he sounds like he's trying to cherish your feelings, so just step back.
okay, step
No,
back.
and trust him a little. Show him some respect.
Wow. Okay, I had another revelation. It's true. I don't, it's hard for me to trust people in general, especially men.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, it was weird because I did trust him. I did trust him in the beginning. I think that because it was just a clean slate that we both had, and I knew that he was a very good guy. Now if I'm really honest with myself, I trust him and I don't trust him because I feel like um it's almost like I'm what is the word? Um it's like I'm taking a I'm taking advantage of his like uh his easygoingness. I don't know if that makes any sense.
So in a way, because he's like making you happy, you've lost respect for him?
Maybe I'm trying to process it. It's like,
Because
why
he
don't
doesn't
I?
sound like a pushover.
He's not. He's
But
not. But
sometimes if we have issues of self-esteem and self-worth, if someone loves us, we lose respect for them because we've been taught that love and pain are intertwined. Do you
I'm trying to still
understand?
process.
like what it is that I'm doing because sometimes he easily triggers me. Like I'll get irritable with the little things that he
Hmm.
does. And I never used to be like that with him,
Right.
you know?
So yeah, so your triggers are always a harkening back to a childhood wound. Um, it sounds like, there's a little more work to do there. I'm gonna move on because there's a bunch of
Yeah,
questions
I'm so
in chat.
sorry.
No, no,
Yeah,
no, don't
yeah. Move on.
apologize. I appreciate your sharing. It's just that we can only go so deep. So if
Yes,
you want, you
totally.
can reach out to me through my email, on my website. I'll put my stuff in again. Or even through Instagram and we can set something up or, we can work a little deeper because it sounds like there might be some more stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, please move on. Yeah, I
Okay.
just have to sit with what you've
Yeah,
already
yeah,
told
yeah.
me.
Sometimes it takes time too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Thank you. I
Okay.
really appreciate it.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Thank you for sharing so many good salient points there. Okay. What else do we have going on in this chat? Okay. Yanli. If I have been texting with men for a bit, should I wait for men to initiate meeting in person? Okay. So this is Yanli. Where are you? Hi, Yanli.
Hi, Chloe. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Um, okay. So don't text for more than 2 weeks. 2 weeks is the maximum. Try to get to that in-person meeting as fast as possible. So if he isn't initiating after 2 weeks of texting, then you can say, I've really enjoyed texting with you. However, I feel more comfortable meeting in person. Or sometimes people will say, like, after a week, I feel more comfortable talking on the phone, or doing
Mm,
a FaceTime or a Zoom or whatever it is. Um, what do you think? Okay. So you're leading
okay.
with your feelings and
Mm-hmm.
asking for his thoughts.
Ah, that sounds very smart. Yeah.
And then you get to see if he's serious or not. Because some guys on the
Mm-hmm.
apps, especially, they're just fishing. Some
Mm.
guys are sadly and women are in relationships, but they'll still want to talk to people.
Oh,
So that's why
wow.
when you get in a relationship, you not only need to get that sexual monogamy, but that social monogamy now. Because we
Hmm.
have so many like social media apps and other ways to communicate. So
Right.
that's the way that you do it.
Mm.
Um,
Okay. So what if a guy says something like oh, so do you think it's better to ask for a phone chat or video chat or just better to just meet in person?
Um, I will leave that up to your discretion.
Okay.
Sometimes it's nice to do a phone call before the meeting
Mm-hmm.
or a video call, then you at least get a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to rush, if you want to not even rush, if you want to go straight to the meeting, do that.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Okay.
either way is okay.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think if a guy sounds like like very vague, like say, maybe we could meet up one day if you want,
Red
something
flag.
like that. Wow, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe yellow flag, but overall, people who are communicating in vague, secretive, evasive, condescending, or abrupt ways, those are signs of a loser in communication.
Oh,
So,
really? Wow.
yeah. So guys who are, I'll marry you someday, right? Very vague.
Oh,
So,
so
yeah, I mean, I say it's at the very least a yellow flag. And if somebody
oh,
says, um, yeah, we should hang out sometime, you can say, yeah, when are you I'd say I'd love that. When are you thinking? Again,
mm,
feelings. I'd love that. Feels good. When are you thinking? So
mm-hmm,
try to kind of provoke them to close that way, right? You're not going to
mm,
take control, but we're going to lead the horse to water.
right. And what do you think if he says something like, oh, maybe we can meet up one day if you want? What do you think if I say something? Oh yeah, that I love that. What are you doing this weekend?
No, no,
No?
don't say that.
Oh,
Say, when
okay.
are you thinking?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. It's a
Yeah.
little tweak, but it'll help.
Okay. Yeah, that
It'll
sounds
help get
great.
what you want, which is for him to take initiative. Unless
Ah,
you want to be in the masculine role and you want to be the person asking out, then it
mm,
would be different. But since you
right.
presented it as wanting to be in the feminine, that's why I'm telling you to do it this way.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
more
that
of a
makes more sense.
manipulation because it's okay to manipulate men if we respect them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much. This is really
You're
makes
welcome.
sense. Yeah.
Okay, let me know how it goes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Okay. Does the 8 weeks also apply to initial connections? Is Lola here? Yes. Does the 8 weeks also apply to initial connections on dating apps? Hi. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Okay.
those are like a little bit more tenuous, those
Mm-hmm.
communications, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it still applies. Still applies.
Okay. Okay. I'm asking because I'm kind of new to the dating app, and I'm trying to do not to do some of the things you were just talking about, right? And
Mhm.
to just kind of take control of the situation. So I try to, if they say they want to talk, and then they'll a lot of times they'll pass you their number, and then so I'll say that's a great idea. Here's my number. I look forward to hearing from you.
Perfect. Yes. In fact, that like when people used to hand out business cards, I would say, if he gives you his card, write your number on the back of it and give it back to him, which is kind of like what
Right.
you're doing. So that's
Yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah.
And
But
you can
it's
say,
just,
I feel
oh,
more, and if you want, you can say, I feel more comfortable if you reach out first. I don't
okay.
chase men, you know, but
Okay.
not with any attitude, just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't feel that's just not for me.
Okay. Okay. I'll try that.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. You are so welcome. Okay, I'm seeing this other comment here. Um, okay. So, Yanli, you also put in here, if he makes a masculine guy, you can't point it out if they're wrong. Okay. You can point it out if they're wrong, but you have to make an appointment to bitch, moan, teach, preach, question, or criticize a man. Okay? You don't just barrel into him with your da, 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 da. So you have to let him know, I have something I want to talk to you about. It's about the wedding or whatever the general topic is. Okay. It's a protocol I use. It's called the stroke and stand. It's in my first book, How to Live. And basically, it involves you make an appointment, you give him the general topic. You say, is now a convenient time to talk about it? And if not, now when? I wanted to talk to you about the wedding. I wanted to talk to you about the dinner reservation. Um, Hopefully today. He says now, he says 5 o'clock, whatever he says. When you come to that meeting, you would begin it with a stroke. So you'd say, I really love the restaurants that you pick out, and making the dinner reservations and all that stuff makes me so happy, or whatever it is. And then that's the compliment, right? So that kind of helps smooth the way. Then, if there's something that made you feel bad, you mention it. So, however, I felt bad when you made me order for both of us. I just picked something random, but whatever is that made you feel bad, you let him know that made me feel bad. What do you think of not doing that? It made me feel bad when you told the waiter it was my birthday and they say, I was embarrassed. I don't want that. Whatever it is. What do you think about not doing that? And then see what he has to say. He might be defensive. He might not want to hear it. He might say, "Oh, shit, I didn't know that." Okay, yeah, no problem. I will never do a birthday in singing in a restaurant again. Whatever it is, right? Um, So, you know, even if he doesn't respond well, it doesn't mean that you're going to break up with him necessarily, but it is information that you need to know. Does he care about my feelings? Does he want to make me happy? And not only what he just says in the moment, but also how he acts in the future. So even if he's like kind of in the moment, but he never does it again, well, that shows that he's cherishing your feelings. So it opens up that conversation. I don't want you to go back and forth on these things a million times. If he's like, don't be ridiculous, Yanli. It's a birthday. The singing is fine. You'll get used to it. You can say one more thing. Okay, I get that it's well intended, but it makes me feel bad, and then stop. You either agree to disagree. If it's too much after a while, you tell them the price tag. Okay, well, I don't know if I can continue to be with someone. I don't know if I want to celebrate my birthday with you again, if that's your attitude. Whatever it is, you may not want to escalate it there on that first talk. Maybe you do. You have to make that decision for yourself. But the beauty of making the appointments when you want to preach, teach, bitch, moan, complain, question, or criticize is that a lot of times you realize it's not that important and you don't really need to make your point. So it kind of helps you make more considered decisions about what kind of negative information you're bringing up to your partner. And then when you do it in that respectful way, you give yourself the best chance of having a conscious communication, which means a balanced communication. Okay. So that's the answer to that question. uh, okay. Okay, somebody said in here they're a perfectionist. That's a death script because that's not it. Nobody can achieve perfection, not if you're in a human body. So be careful with that. It's also masculine. Okay. Here's another question. I'm not sure if it's from my family upbringing, but I have a habit of being independent or not troubling others. If a guy wants to cook for me, I say, don't trouble too much. If a guy wants to walk me home, I say, don't worry. If a guy wants to buy me something, yes. Right. So what you're telling, right. So yes. So this question, again, is from another really good question from you, Yanli. Yes, you need to stop preventing men from giving to you. If you want somebody to be caring and supportive, you need to step back a little and let him do that. Technically, you're being selfish, but what you're really doing is allowing a man to be a man because he needs to be needed. If he's not needed in your life, then is not going to stick around. Not if he's a masculine man. And you're literally preventing yourself from receiving when you deny him the ability to walk you home, when you deny him the opportunity to make you a meal. Also, why are you denying yourself things that sound enjoyable and protective? There's this element of masochism in that. So you're not being considerate. You have to think of yourself and he's thinking of yourself. You have to respect him enough to acknowledge if he's offering to make you a meal, he actually wants to make you a meal. Don't second guess it that he's doing it because he doesn't want it, that he's offering because he doesn't want to do it. That doesn't make sense. I understand the script of some cultures is a little more self-effacing and less focused on the individual happiness, more focused on a group happiness. And that does involve an element of selflessness. But in America, in this country, it's about the individual. It's of me first society. Okay. So I don't want you to cut yourself off from receiving. It's not troubling somebody else. Okay. They want to give to you. Don't deny a man the opportunity to be a man and to give to you. Okay, that's castration. So you can reframe it for yourself that it's actually considerate to receive the love that he's offering, not reject it, and not demand more, better, or different love from our partners. Okay? Okay. I'm gonna I'm gonna wrap it up there. Unless anybody else has another quick little question. Again, you guys can reach out to me through my website. Really, all my links are on my website. This recording will be available wherever you get your podcasts and also on YouTube. If you want to go deeper into a private, we can do that. And again, I do teach this work. As soon as that list fills up, we'll be starting the next round of modules that are based on my books. So if I don't hear from you before next week, I'll see you next week, or I'll see you back in this room soon. Um, and have a good evening. Thanks for coming.